this is Bonnie, and I want to do something fun today. And so I just pulled out this new die from Sizzix. That's a Tim Holtz die. And actually, just to let you know, it is called Christmastime. It's 664731, and it's from Sizzix. I think I said that. Anyway, I haven't made one, so I'm totally starting from scratch. So my intention is I want to do more of a silhouette type card. And in doing that, I want to make these images so they are kind of like a black and a gray. And so that's my intention. That's what I'm going to start trying to do. And so I've already started by pulling out 3 of my gray Distress Oxide ink, or actually 2 gray and then the black one. So I've got black soot. I have, I don't even know how to say this one, Pumice Stone, and weathered wood. Weathered wood is one of my favorites. And what I really wanted was 4 different gray tones. So I might end up adding something as we go as I cut these out. So just to show you what I've done is I am using a blending brush, and what I have found works is I have this a little bit damp, and that seems to spread the ink around pretty smoothly. However, because I'm just using regular cardstock, it does give me a little bit of texture by pulling up and roughing up the paper. And I actually like that, and you'll see why in a little bit, because I've used this on another technique. Actually another video that I have on my channel. So anyway, in order to do this, what I did was, like I said, I got this a little bit damp. Usually I use it after I clean it off, and that works really well too, but you can get it damp ahead of time. And all I do is, it just makes it kind of like, depending on how damp it is, it just makes it smooth out really easily for me. And you can see even in this, that it would give me my 4th color if I wanted it, and not to add any more to it. And I think that's what I'm going to do. This will be my 4th quote, quote, gray. I just want to make sure that there is a difference between the two, and that's my plan. So, and then what I'll do, I want to show you these dies. These are the 2 dies you get, and if you can see them, let me see. If you can see them, they're all one die, but with several different cuts. So I'm going to have to come up with that many different colors of gray so that I can make it look like a silhouette, a black silhouette. But I didn't want it to be totally black, because you do need to see the different layers. So that's the intention. That's what I'm planning to do. And I showed you what I did with the papers, and I'll show you the pieces after I cut them out and how I'm going to put them together. All right, so I've come up with my 4th gray color, and what I did was I used the Pumice, whatever you want to call it, stone. I put a layer of that down first, just to show you I can get a 4th gray. And then I went ahead and took the weathered wood while this was still wet, and lightly went over the top. That gives me my 4th gray color. Ta-da! All right, so I have them all cut out, and according to the different shades, there's not a big difference between these 2 shades, but I think that they're still going to help when I go to put them together. So I wanted you to see that some of these pieces are extremely tiny. I'm going to show you how tiny these are, super tiny. And I know that when Tim Holtz talks in his Saturday demos, that he has said to put, before you even cut these out, to put them on double, like a double-sided taper, like put them through the Extron or something, and then it'll be easy to take them off. I haven't done that. I'm just going to use my fine point glue to do that. So anyway, I just wanted to show you the different shades, and I'm going to be putting them together. You're going to say, well, I've cut out a lot of these. I am still going to be able to use them in a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting those together, and then I'll come back and show you how I'm going to glue them. All right, so I have the girl figured out, and this is what I did. She's not put together yet. I'm using the darkest color, black. I'm using the next color, which would have been the, let me see. I'm just double check, make sure. Right, it's going to be weathered wood. This is weathered wood. I'm using the weathered wood for her skin. I'm going to be using the Pumice Stone, the lightest color, for her headband and for her scarf. And then I'm also going to be using the same color for her skin, which would have been the weathered wood, for her hands. So you can see these little pieces are sitting there. I'm going to go ahead and glue that together, and I'm layering it up. These pieces are small. It's going to be a little bit harder for you to see, so I'm going to try to get it as close as I can so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take that back off. It's going to be a little bit harder for me to see with the phone right in front of me. I'm going to take these pieces back off. This is going to be my base, like I said. The next one I'm going to use is this one right here. I'm going to put some glue on that. And that's going to be the next layer. So you always work from the back forward. And I'm going to line that one up. Her hair, I just have to really make sure that I've got her face lined up. Let me pull it up again. It's a little bit small, like I said. Make sure I've got that lined up well. And then the next part that will come will be the hair. Now the hair was cut out of the same color, the black soot. I'm going to go ahead and put that, a little bit of glue on that, and that will layer on top of what's already there. So again, her skin is a weathered wood. So that's how she's going to look. See if I can get that so you can see her. Okay, so the next thing, these are very, like I said, very tiny. I am going to go ahead and keep layering, and in this case I'm going to take, which is, like I said, they're tiny, this piece right here is her scarf. And I'm going to pick that up, my finger, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on that. Not a lot. And then that's going to go down for her scarf. And I always reference back to the cover of the Sizzix packaging. It's kind of hard for you to see that there. And one of the things that I've always found helpful whenever I do this is to also use my piercing tool or something small where you can adjust it. I really only needed glue up there towards the top. Again, I'll hold that up so you can see. Okay. So, like I said, I'm trying to make her more of a silhouette type, but her skin, obviously, I want it to be a little bit lighter. I didn't want her to be totally black. You wouldn't see any details at all. And then the next one would be, again, this one came from the Pumice Stone, and that is her headband. And you can see how tiny. I'm going to kind of rotate these over to my other hand. And you can see the benefit if you did run them through the Xeron, but then I would have been having, I don't know, the glue on the olive and trying to get this back off of it because it's so tiny. And there we go, dropping it. Okay. There is a marking in the hair showing where to put that. So again, I'll show that to you. There you go. And so then the next things that are left on here are super duper tiny, and you probably really won't see me putting them on, and that will be her hand. There's a hand place for her hand, an indentation, and then this little piece at the end of her hand. And technically she will be done. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be right back. So I have her finished, and this is what she looks like. And I'm going to be doing the exact same thing to the man. Again, I'm going to be using these in a different way, but this is the main one that I wanted to do first. So again, I'm going to be grabbing his head from the weathered wood, and his pieces are a little bit bigger than what her pieces were. And so his this is his skin tone that I'm using, and that is going to be going on his head. Line that up, and then I'm going to just take his hair from the black soot, just putting that glue. And again, I don't know if you can see this, but it does have a little bit of an impression. Let's see if I can get that to show up. So you can see the line. Let's see, hold on, for where his hair goes. It's very similar. It's just a little bit of a embossed part, so you can see where to put it. Trying to get that lined up better. And then that's what his hair will look like. Got a little bit of glue. And he also has a hat. So this same concept, I think I used, well, I mean, I know I used the Pumice Stone. I'm not really sure that I want him to have the Pumice Stone. I think I might end up going with the combination color that I did to give it a little bit. No, actually I do not care for that, which I knew I needed to test that out. I think I'm going to stay with the black hat, just because I want it to, yep, I'm going to stay with the black hat. And I want to see how the black hat looks on this front, because there is a dip, so the higher dip, if you can see that, goes towards the back. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there and put that higher dip towards the back. Let's get that down a little bit closer. Okay. Higher dip towards the back. So you can see that. Okay, so then the next thing on him, he does also have a scarf. And his is quite a bit larger. But I think I am going to still use the Pumice Stone. It'll go with hers. And again, his scarf, the longest part, goes just like that. Which I think is the only way you could really do it, honestly. Hers could be flipped, and you can see you could make a mistake with hers being flipped. Lining that up. Again, you can always double check. It goes straight across. And then the only things left on him would be his hands. And his hands are a little bit bigger. I might be able to show you that. It took me a little bit to get the hands on her. They are quite tiny. But the best way is to pick that up. Okay, the larger piece goes right down there on his coat, and it does have a direction to it. Again, I got that on my finger. If I can do this with you still seeing it. Oh, you know what? I grabbed the wrong color. Of course I did. I need the one from above. I need the one that I did with the weathered wood. No problem. Just have to glue it again. Okay. And there is a way, you can, if you look at this piece, there's a part that is more straight and one that's more curved. And so this goes this way around. And again, there's kind of like an embossing line to show you where to put that. And I got some of my glue that I need to work on to get that off. So I'm going to go ahead and put that other little piece, not this one, but the weathered wood, up here at the top. Okay, so I have the two main characters finished now that are going to be going on the card. There are some other pieces that will also be going on the card project. I will be making the lamppost, and I will be making the Christmas tree also. And I'll come back and show you what I did. I have all four of them finished, and this is what I had left over. I also had some of the heads done in black, but I cut the hair and put the hair on these right here. So this is what I have left, and I can still cut one more set out of each and still be able to make something with this if I wanted to. So, but for the most part, I used up all those pieces I showed you that I cut out. And again, this one here is the black soot. This one here is the weathered wood. This one's weathered wood and pumice stone combined. And then this one is just the pumice stone. And I just interchanged them when I made them. And so they will be going on cards, but like I said, I'm going to get the lanterns done, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for the background. So I am now working on this tree piece right here, if you can see that, and I want to show you the die. This die, you can see that. This right here is the, actually it's just the base, and so that's going to be brown, and I'm going to be using Gathering Twigs. And then this piece at the top is actually going over it, the base piece, and this will be green. And it has little, I want to say etched lines again. And what those are for, again, I'm going to show you the picture. You can see how they have brown on all those spots. So that's telling me where to put the brown spots. The teeny tiny brown spots, see if you can see them. There's two there, and there's two there. And that will go on each one of those spots. So I'm going to be doing one paper with the forest moss and then the other one with Gathering Twigs. I will cut them each out 4 times of each color to make enough to go with the people that I've already done. All right, so I cut out 4 of each of them out of these 2 colors, the Gathering Twigs and the forest moss. And I only needed so many of each, but I had to cut them all out. So I left one of them unfinished, but this is what they look like when you get done. So I made them so that they were kind of subtle, so that they would go well with the monotone grays and blacks. So basically all you have to do for this one, oh, and what I did do is, you can see these teeny tiny ones that are sitting here. They're what looks like wraps around a tree. You have to cut out this entire piece because you really need a base, and you also need the tree trunk, if you want to call it that, and you just put those together. And I ended up keeping the green one that looks like this because I thought I could actually still put the things on them and still have a second. I could probably just draw these little twine things on it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Because you get 2 pieces of everything. This is the green. I figured I can just draw on this one and still use it, and then probably color this in with the brown. So it's not going to be a waste. I'm not going to throw it away. So I just put these two together, just like that. Makes it a little bit more stable anyway. Now, here's the tricky part, because why? These pieces are super tiny. So hopefully you're going to be able to see this. There's a very small one. The smallest one goes on the top. And you just put a teeny tiny bit of glue. Here we go. And all I did, I know some people have these sticky things that they can pick these things up with, but I just have a little bit of moisture on my finger, and I set that down. See if I can get that closer. And I just move it around while the glue is still a little bit wet, and put that in place. All right, so there's 4 of them, and there is one that's longer than the other 2. And from the looks of it, I feel the longer one goes in the center. I don't really think it really is that significant where they do go for sure, but that's the way and they do curve a certain way. This one curves like that, so I have to move that around. And I'm sorry, but it is really fiddly. And again, there are like embossed little edges showing you where to put these things. And there's just 4 of them. There's that one, and one more. I think that needs to go the other way. They do curve slightly, so they do go on a certain way. Okay, so we've got all 4 of those on there, and that is going to be the tree that the man holds in this setting. And I did get the lanterns cut also. Here, I'll go ahead and show you what is. Those are completed now. If you can see them. I have my light that reflects. Let me see, do that better. There we go. And so he will be holding, there's all the lanterns, and he will be holding this tree, and it goes like that. It'll actually be, it's supposed to be by his hand like he's holding it. So that's how those will go on each one of them. And then I'll put the backgrounds together, and I'll show you that later. So we have all 4 of those completed, and I was going to go ahead and show you how I glued. These are already glued, and the very first one's glued. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I glue these together based upon the cover of the Sizzix die. So I put a little bit on her hand, and I'm putting a little bit on her head, because the way it looks on the picture, which I could show you that, doesn't have to be exactly the same, but it does give you an idea of where they go together. And I'm just gluing her, hand right above his hand, and then her head, and it shows a little bit of the scarf. That's how I did it based upon what is on the cover. And then I'm just going to put a teeny tiny piece of glue, or a little bit of glue, not piece, right there for her coat on top of his. And so that secures them together. And then in terms of the tree, take a look. I just put a little bit of glue on the hand and on his head. And then I line that up with his hand. And I tip it just a little bit, so it just about touches the top of her head. They have a little bit more space on theirs, so you can raise it up. It doesn't really matter. It's not really significant. All right, so that's how you put those pieces together. And I think I showed you the lanterns, lampstands, whatever. So what I ended up doing is I took the first one and I totally made it into a card. And this is what it looks like and what I'm going to be doing for these other three. Now, the difference is going to be the colors, because that's what I did. I made 3 different colors. So that's what will look especially different. I have also used a Tim Holtz stamp. And at first it bothered me that I put them on top of the Christmas, but you can tell what it says. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I also added some really gorgeous, see if you can see it, glitter, hologram glitter, clear glitter. That's from Fairy Hugs at the Lavinia World, and it's called Pixie Dust. And I also put that, yeah, you can see it down there. I put a little bit down there. So as I'm going, I'm going to tell you what the other things that I have used. So in order to make the card base, one of the things that I like to do, which I've told you, is to have my brush a little bit damp. So for the back of this, I totally use the Pumice Stone. I always say it wrong. So anyway, so you just get a little bit of that on your brush. And this entire thing, oops, I need to put, sorry about that. I need to know where the lantern is going to go, lampstand. So it's roughly going to go there. And I want to make that moon. So that's going to go behind it. Oops, I think that needs a little bit more tape on the back. It does, just a tad. Okay. Oh, I was going to say, I thought I took care of my glue. I couldn't find it. All right, so a little bit of glue on the back of that. Line that up again. Okay, so I put that there as my mask. Oh, no, I don't. I'm so wrong. I just got through making this. You'd think I'd remember. The whole thing, obviously the whole thing gets the glue, and then I put the mask on when I do the rest. So, like I said, it's a little bit wet, and this kind of roughs it up a little bit, almost makes it look like a light suede, which is really cool. But this also, because it's wet, it makes the cardstock, the standard cardstock, be wet and it needs to dry. But I will do this with 2 more sheets of paper, so I'm making 4 cards. This works really good because this is the part where the moon will really show through, and the very bottom of this will have this on it when it gets done. Okay, it's hard to see it right now, but it does really show up, especially once you add the oxide colors, the darker colors. Now, like I said, I let that dry a little bit before I added more of the ink, but I'm gonna, for the video, I'm gonna go ahead and see how that will work if I do it right away. And I'm gonna be using a chipped sapphire, and I do need to put the moon on, which is right there. That's my mask. It's probably like a 1-inch punch or a 1-inch die cut. So what I did for this was I had a torn piece of paper that I use for clouds. And you can't hardly see there's much of any clouds in there, but there's a little bit. Right, and because I've used this before and this is slightly damp, this actually is bleeding onto the card, which is okay because it's going to end up having a lot more ink on it anyway. Okay, every time I do this, it's always different. I know, and they always say, come off to the side and go in, but the look I want is, what's the word? I want it to look like this. I don't want it to be smooth. I want it in all one color. I want it to have the look of, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Blotchy? I want that look. And this is a perfect way to get it. And as I do this, because it is cardstock, just heavy cardstock, it will make the paper come up. And so then that starts giving it a suede look because it looks like it's more rough. And I really like that. Okay, so then the next color I use to go down is Faded Jeans, my absolute favorite ink color. And I'm leaving about 1.5 inches at the bottom without any of this ink on it. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more of the clouds. There wasn't much, you couldn't see much of the clouds on my original, but I want a little bit more. Let me try the darker. Okay, just about done with that. And then I'm going to set that to dry a little bit first. And then we'll come back and add some more details. Okay, that's how that's going to look. You know what? I probably could really do that moon. So let's go ahead and do it as soon as I can. So that is like the original color that I used, which was a Pumice Stone. And then I have a Tim Holtz stencil. And I used this for the snow, and I used it on the moon. And this is THS021. And in this case, I wanted to find, let's see, a good spot to add. I just want to use the edge. And again, I'm going to be using, in this case, I'm going to be using weathered wood because it has to be a little bit darker than the Pumice Stone in order to show up. I'm going to go ahead and use the one brush I didn't put anything in yet. Okay, and that's what our moon looks like. I think I need to soften that slightly. I did put too much on. There we go. That's better. Okay, so that's what the moon looks like. And I am going to let this dry and show you the next step. I have the backgrounds done, ready to go. I am going to be stamping the Merry Christmas sentiment at the bottom, and that is from the Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous, and it is called Christmastime CMS 141. It's kind of interesting because this is called Christmas Time, and so is the die is also called Christmas Time. So I am just going to be using VersaFine Clair Nocturne on this sentiment. Okay. In order to stamp, which most people know with a MISTI, you have a foam. You have to take out the foam base when you go to stamp with a foam stamp. Okay. Now, I also embossed this with black embossing powder. So, whoops, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I have the sentiment on the cards, and the next thing that I do is I add some modeling paste to make the snow. And this one is not my favorite brand. It's a little bit too soft, and it tends to go underneath these little circles. So I've actually ordered some new molding paste that has a little bit more firmness and isn't as soft. Anyway, this isn't, the stencil isn't big enough to go across the full card, so I have to do 2 sections at a time. And in order for me to put this over, I have to let this side dry so that I am able to put this over it without messing up what I already put on. So you can see I don't use a lot. And also you have to make sure very quickly you get these clean, because these dots are so tiny they clog easily. And the other thing you need to do, which I didn't do because I wasn't on that side, is I need to put the mask, the moon mask, back on. Alright, so that's what that looks like. And again, like I said, I will put the other side on this side and do it again. The same part. I'll just move it over. So, just wanted you to see how cool that looks. So I'll go ahead and clean this off, let that dry, and I'll be back. Alright, so I need to do the other side, and because this side is dry. And I also put the mask over the moon, and I just got to get this other side done, and then I have to wait for that to dry again, so then I can add the die cuts. So I just thought I'd show you this really quick, and I'll get on with my die cuts. Alright, so I'm going to take this one off. I've done all 3 of them now. And the moon actually stuck to that and came right off with it. But that was my masking, which I'm not going to be keeping anymore because it's been quite used. But that is what it looks like once I get that molding paste on. So I need to let these dry, and then I can add the die cuts. The next thing that I do is I use Mod Podge. The first one I used some glue, but the Mod Podge will lay a lot flatter for me to put on glitter. So I'm just going to put a little bit down here at the bottom and spread it out with a paintbrush. I find that that tends to work a little bit better than doing just the glue because it lays flat because I'm brushing it. I suppose I could probably have brushed the glue as well. The glitter that I'm going to be using is really, really pretty. It is from Lavinia World, and it's called Fairy Hugs Glitter Powder, and this one is Pixie Dust. And it is just a gorgeous glitter. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just, I mean, it's so pretty. So anyway, I've got my little tray here, and I'm gonna just shake some of that at the bottom. And that's what I'm gonna do for the cards. Like I said, I'm making 3 of them, or a total of 4 rather. you can see that it's just really, really, really pretty glitter. So I'm going to continue on. I need to, it's all dry once this dries. I'm going to, again, like I said, I still need to put those die cuts on. So I have the tape on the back of the die cuts finally, and I'm going to be placing those down. Trying to make that straight. And then I also put the double-sided tape, foam tape on the back of these guys. And I'm going to set them right there. And that is the finished card. And oh, I take that back. I have one little thing I add. I add a little bit of that same glitter I did down here. I add a little bit of that glitter to the light part of the street light. And it just kind of fits in between there. And there we go. So I've got all 4 of them done now. And here was our first one. And then I did it in terms of variations, in terms of color. Then it was that one is a color that was not as dark. And then we've got the next one is a little bit lighter. And then the lightest one. So cutting that out 4 times allowed me to have the 4 cards. So it wasn't a waste of doing that. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that you will subscribe, and I hope you'll share. Thanks for stopping by.